Oh, it says you're muted.
I'm muted?
No, it doesn't. No, I'm being a dick. I was hovering over you and it says mute in the corner.
Oh,
Fucking long. I need a haircut. Rob only does video, doesn't do haircuts as well. Can't get the fucking staff.
I wish I had that much hair. Don't brag.
That was actually why I mentioned it, because I, noticed you're increasingly thinning.
Yeah, it's getting older. Like 5 years ago, I had hair. It's gone.
That's what Solarcan does to you.
Exactly, the stress.
Right. Anyway, well, shall we pretend to do some sort of introduction to this, shall we?
Sure.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. Hello, Hamish. This is a good introduction.
Yeah, I don't really do introductions. So we are doing this because you are crazy enough to do another Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you told me a minute ago that you're feeling a little bit stressed.
Yeah, a little bit. I woke up this morning incredibly stressed, and I couldn't put my finger on why. So I think it's just the whole Kickstarter has, I guess, done really well.
Yeah.
It's fast exceeded the expectations, and it's still got a long way to go yet. And it means up in production quotas on everything, which can be done, but it's a stressful job and juggling lots of different things together.
I mean, I'm not, maybe waking up realizing you're going to have to spend some time talking to me was part of the reason for your stress as well.
No, of course not. But I did have other meetings to go to today. And that's why I said to you, should we change the time of this meeting? But then I realized, no, best not. Let's get this done.
Yeah. Well, sorry to fuck up the rest of your day's plans.
No.
So yeah, what's the? I mean, I remember doing my Kickstarter, and I kind of went into it with one idea of how Pixelate was going to be produced, and then came out the other end with a shed load more money and a desire to do something completely different. Is that kind of where you're at? And what was your expectation in terms of how much money you thought this was going to raise?
The easy answer there is we had a goal of £5,000 on Kickstarter, and that goal was to offset 50% of the costs that I'd incurred in building the product. So it's cost a lot of money to build. So I was confident we would be selling some in the long term, etc. But I wasn't quite prepared for how fast it would reach that target. It reached the target in 4 hours, which is considerable because it's inexpensive. We're not talking £200 a pledge here. We're talking £20 a pledge and very inexpensive shipping costs, etc. So we reached it very quickly, which I'm grateful for because of the community who we'd been teasing to, and we did beta testers in the community, and obviously everything else that goes with that. So it reached it very quickly, and then went just parabolic, I think. Day 2 was even better than day 1, which was a real surprise. I'm not sure I've seen that before. It's steadying off now to a nice, even sort of upward trajectory, so we can sort of guess where we're going to be ending up. And we're not really concerned as much with like the quantity of money that's coming in, but the quantity of puck that we have to build and get installed and have all the additional accessories and boxes and packaging. So much goes into this that a lot of people don't even well, they just take for granted. They think they're going to be receiving this thing, but no, they're receiving an experience, a very special box, very special packaging, manual that has to be written, accessories, all the additional stuff, all the support that comes after it when people say, not sure how to use this, can I have some advice, or and all the additional stuff. So we are now about 1,000 puck have been pledged through on Kickstarter, and we are, I don't know, 5 or 6 days in.
That's 1,000. That's insane, isn't it? And
yeah,
we probably actually, let's rewind. What is Puck.
I'm glad you got that. You're going to have to copy and paste this part of the video, put it at the start.
Nah. Just...
So what is the puck? I should have had one of my... Shall I go and grab one of my existing Solarcan?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
Hold on.
Can you not find one?
No, I can't find one. I've got a prototype.
I think I've got
a prototype, a white one here.
Fine.
Sorry about that. So, ask me again.
So, Sam, what is Puck?
What is the Puck? Okay, I'm glad you asked, Hamish. Well, for 5 years, we've been selling the Solarcan. It's an extreme time exposure camera, a solography camera, basically. It's an enclosed aluminium vessel which captures the path of the sun over days, weeks, months, or years. Anyone who has followed you around will probably recognize what these are. This looks slightly different because it's a prototype version with a white label instead of the clear label, where it would look silver. But it's essentially the same thing, or it's recognizable. And this has been very successful. Sells all over the world, and has always surprised us with the sort of images that we've seen from the community and such like, and it's been fantastic. However,
one question: you serial number them all, don't you? So how many have you sold of those?
30,000.
30,000. Bloody hell.
Honestly, 30,000. So we've been kept really, really busy. Last year was incredibly busy. As was the year before, actually. The pandemic, I feel slightly guilty, but really did help Solarcan because it's a great lockdown project.
Yeah.
A lot of people commented to say that it's something you could do at home and you could do with your family, etc. And they had lots of time to work with something, a photo that takes 6 months to expose. Anyway, so at the end of last year, I'd been tinkering with this idea to turn a smaller vessel into a Solarcan as well, to see what we could do with that. I've just been playing with the idea and doing some tests here and there. And Black Friday weekend was approaching, which is always great for retailers, even in the UK. And I suggested to Gemma, who's our workshop manager now, I think we should launch a puck for Black Friday weekend. Maybe we'll get 20 additional sales. That would be fun. And we launched this silver little thing here, which I won't show too much, for Black Friday, and we called it the Puck just because it was the size of a hockey puck, and it seemed like a lovely name that would stick. And it went utterly wild, really surpassed all thoughts. We thought we'd be spending the next week putting together 20 puck. It was hundreds that went out before Christmas, and that was our first our first signal that we had to work really hard in improving production values and improving the content, because it was being shared on every blog you could imagine. And we didn't want people to receive something that was substandard, something that was worthy of the viral attention it received. So we did spend a lot of time working on that and improved it and sent it out to all the customers, got them all there in time for Christmas because it's a Black Friday product. And we thought, that's that. I said to everyone, no, we're not going to make these again. This was a special Black Friday thing. Then I went on holiday at the start of January. I went away for a week, and I took one leftover puck. We had one leftover puck, and I took it with me. And I thought this would be fun just to play as if I'd received one. So I'd go through all the steps. I'd open it up, read the manual, etc., just so I could have the experience on vacation. And I stuck it out for a day, took it home, developed it just with my phone, no chemicals. And I was amazed. I did it a second day, and then I did it a third day because there was 3 exposures in it. And I was blown away. I just wanted to do more and more and more. And after 5 years, you'd think I'd be, I'd know what would happen, etc., and I'd be maybe a bit bored of it or something, but I was not. This was really addictive. I got home and we started making more with Gemma. We started writing to all the people who had backed what we now call the beta puck, and suggesting people would send in their results, and we'll send them out free refills. So we're sending them out, and it was really, really addictive. And we found for the first few months of this year that we've just been hammering these away, putting one up every day at least, taking one down every day. And between me and Gemma, we've had hundreds of examples and tests that we've been doing. So we've learned everything we can about it. Like there's several take homes to what it is. And I'm going to get to your question. What is the puck? The take homes were that because of its size, and I'll show you the puck here, because of its size and shape and look, it's easier to install than its predecessor, if that's okay to call it predecessor. And we like to say it really fits in with street furniture. So you can cable tie that or pop it somewhere, maybe on a lamppost or on a street sign, and no one will bat an eye at it. They'll think it's just part of the object. It looks like it's meant to be there. They just don't quite understand it, like those weird things on telegraph pole, etc. It just looks like it's meant to be there. That doesn't.
No.
So it's so much more unobtrusive. So I guess the size and the shape.
So I guess if it's only there a day, then it's less of a risk that somebody's going to come and take it.
Absolutely. Anyway. That's the other point. It's really good for short exposures. A whole day exposure is a long time in photography terms. But in sonography terms, it's as short as you can be. So a single day exposure for these were the two take homes. It's great for short exposures, 1 day, 2 day, or a week. And it's unobtrusive, so it's easier to place and take down. And,
the bit I don't understand is so would you get, if you leave a normal Solarcan out for just a single day, you still get an exposure from that single day, don't you?
You would, but it's not so easy to refill.
Okay, okay.
So you get a much larger piece of photographic paper in here. There is an element where it feels a little more wasteful. A lot more effort tends to go into these. They'd stay up for 6 months. They'd get battered by the environment and the weather, etc. Whereas these, you just pop out the photographic paper and put another one in, and you're sorted, you're done. So that was the major difference. You'll notice the huge difference between the beta and this is the color, and we're very proud of this debossing that you have on here.
Very smart.
So really debossing, so it looks very pretty. And there's a ring round it, which we've commissioned, a special ring that has a groove on it. I'll show you this there. And on the other side, it's being manufactured right now. And on the other side, it says "Science experiment, please do not touch."
Oh, nice.
So you can wear that as a wristband if you like. Depending on how you feel about that. And this goes on the outside, and this we've discovered through our tests makes it water resistant.
Nice.
So one of the reasons this is water resistant, apart from the pinhole, of course, you can't ever stop that. This has some water resistance to it as well when you wrap it round like that, and you get the extra cool factor of having a wristband that calls you a science experiment. So that is what the puck is. It's a smaller version. It's maybe the successor to the original Solarcan. It's an extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun over a day. And it is, in simple terms, the world's simplest camera.
Well, I've seen some of the results, and they seem to have a lot more. Maybe I'm wrong, but they seem to have a lot more clarity almost than the results from the bigger Solarcan.
Yeah, well, the pinhole is closer to the photographic paper on the back. It does appear a lot sharper. This may be an unaccounted result because we can do so much more, because it's so much easier to do these. So in the time it would take to do one of these, we could do 20 or 30 of these. So we could just be picking out the very, very best ones. So I think that's something we'll learn over time. So if you've got, say, 9 exposures, which will come with each puck, you might get 3 or 4 really, really good exposures that you're very happy with, because the others might be tests where you're setting it up and thinking, not sure I like that angle, I'm going to turn it a bit, and you're learning all at the same time.
Correct if I'm wrong, but I've seen that you've you've got different methods of mounting it as well. Is there some sort of magnet or something for mounting it? Or if I made that up?
So we've got on the rear, we've got sticky pads.
Yeah.
So a sticky pad is something that cable ties go through.
Yeah.
So we've got that to go on the rear with cable ties. So it comes with a box of accessories with sticky pads and cable ties. We're not using magnets because magnets could be are easier to remove from places. But what we have invented instead is something that we call tremlet. Why is it called a tremlet? Because Gemma designed this and her last name is Tremlet. And we thought that stuck very nicely. So this is one of the prototype tremlets, which is really, really useful for, we pop that in there, it sits really nice and snug. So it's really nice to pop that on a windowsill and just shoot outdoors. And that's what I guess we've called a stretch goal, that once we hit a certain level in funding on Kickstarter, which we're fairly confident we will reach, especially with the community, every single puck pledge, so singles and 5-packs, will all receive one of these in the box.
Amazing.
And we've designed the space in the box for these to go in. A lot of people do worry about putting them outside and where they should put it. I mean, there's no excuse not to just chuck it on your windowsill and leave it for a day while you're out at work or something. And you at least get an idea of what you'll see when you open it up.
Yeah, I mean, it looks ace, and it's going to be a success on Kickstarter. Well, it is a success on Kickstarter already, isn't it? I hope you don't mind me asking about this, but I'm interested in your thoughts about everything that goes on the internet has detractors. Do you know what I mean? There's always somebody having a moan about something. I'm interested in this kind of idea that I've seen some people saying, well, I could just make this at home. I know what the answer is to this because people say exactly the same thing about Pixelator. What's your kind of answer to that? And I suppose it's a slightly loaded question because I think that because solography is, I've said that right, isn't it? Haven't I? Solography? Yeah,
solography.
Yeah. So one of the things about solography is that it is incredibly simple. I mean, so just in case people don't know, I mean, the difference between a normal film camera, and what we're talking about here is with a normal film camera, any other type of normal film camera, you put the film or light sensitive material into it, and then when you take it out, you've got to take it out in a dark space, and then you've got to develop it chemically, and then then you do something else with it afterwards, and print it or whatever, digitize it. With solography, it's normal photographic paper, but when it comes out, that's it. It's the finished product. You've just got to capture that finished product as soon as possible, or I guess you can store it in the dark, can't you? But essentially, you capture it as soon as possible, and then invert it to get your final image. But it is literally the light burnt into the photographic paper.
Yeah, exactly. That is the world's simplest camera, and that's the eureka moment for people who are using it for the first time. I could build one of these at home, says someone. Well, our response has been from the very, very beginning, then you should. We encourage people, if they have the tools, if they have the machines, they don't necessarily need a machine, but if they've got the photographic paper at home, then yeah, absolutely, we encourage you to build your own, always have done. And we never want to take that workshop ethic or idea away from people. This is the Solarcan, and the puck that's coming after it is sort of a one-stop shop for people who don't want to build one themselves at home, who want the much easier or much more pleasant sometimes option of having a box that you can enjoy and take out and open and have something real to use add to your collection of cameras, perhaps. I always felt that I needed to make the argument that, and this was coming from a photographer myself, that the idea of solography was a little bit scary. You say it's incredibly simple, and that's because it's simple. But if you're a great photographer and you've been doing it for years, you've got all the kit, etc., but you've just never touched solography, you get further and further down this line, and you're a little bit hesitant into starting it because you're not quite sure how it works. It's just not computing in your brain that it could be so simple. And the Solarcan answers that for you. So even for a photographer who just wants to understand it properly because they can't get their head around how something could be so simple, it's ideal for them. And apart from that, it's great for a curious mind. So people who are interested in the world and how things work, etc. It's fantastic for those sorts of people as well. So we've introduced lots of people to the world of solarography and photography and astronomy and all the science-based ideas that go behind that as well.
The way I've sort of always seen the answer to that question is it's potentially a gateway, isn't it? Because it gives somebody okay, this is how it works. I've done it with the actual product. Now, if I want to make a big box and get my own photographic film and put my photographic film in that big box, then I'm more confident to do that now. I've kind of learned how to do it with your product. What I think is interesting about it is, and I think you just touched on that, is for me it's not just about it being a photography product. It is almost it's a science product. Do you know what I mean? It's the sort of thing that you might find on the shelf in the science museum or something like that, where it's like a gift, like a gift shop, where you go in and it's got, there's like a do it make yourself pinhole camera, and there's these kind of things. It fits really nicely into that category of things that aren't necessarily aimed just at photographers. They're aimed at people who are interested in science and
learning a bit more about the world. So it's as much as an experiment as it is a camera.
Oh, I think that's great. And you have kind of educational resources on your website as well, don't you? I think, is that right?
Yeah. We include all the manuals as well. So the manuals are freely downloadable. Every Solarcan Classic manual gets updated every 6 months with a new foreword and additional images that have been made by the community. So we're always changing things up and tips and tricks. It's a 16-page manual. It only needs to be half a page, but 16 pages worth of science and interesting stuff that's in there.
Did I tell you? You sent me one. Did I tell you what I did to it?
No, I don't even know. The way you're prefacing this, I don't know if I want to know.
Well, I have now backed the Kickstarter. The reason being was
thanks very much.
A little bit of guilt because you sent it me, and I think it must have been around Christmas. It would have been around Christmas, I guess, and. It went in my bag or went on one side, and then it went into the camera cabinet, and I went in there the one day, and a while ago I had this little tin, and it had a couple of optics out of little compact cameras, and it's similar looking to that, and I thought I'd sent it to Chris, the guy who I work with who does lenses, and I picked up this little tin, and I was like, oh, I thought I'd sent that to Chris, and opened it, and I was like, the hell is this? Got a bit of paper in it. Picked the paper out, chucked the bit of paper in the bin, put the lid back on the thing.
The effort that went into making those.
And then I think it was about a month later, I was like, oh, shit, that was the thing that Sam sent me.
That was a really, there was only 12 of those. Yeah.
I'm such an arsehole, aren't I?
It was very early on, and very few people got that as a sort of Christmas present from I think it was 2019 or 2018.
Oh, see how wonderful!
Good feedback.
I treated a Christmas present from you with such contempt. So, is there any what's going to be what kind of issues are there? What issues have you got coming down the road?
Interesting, actually. I'm pretty sure your community would want to hear about that. The difficulty in cutting photographic paper.
Yeah,
because we're not cutting squares; we're cutting circles.
Yeah.
And anyone in the paper industry will tell you there's different ways to do that, but none of these are simple for the sort of quantity that we've got to cut, and not to mention it's got to be done in a dark room, so a safe environment. So this sort of process and tool doesn't exist. So essentially we've had to invent a new process to make it work, which I'm really excited about exploring. Space is a challenge. We have a workshop in Hawick in the Scottish borders. It's about 5 by 5 by 5 meters squared cubed, and we are genuinely running out of space. I've got a container at the backyard that's an 18-foot container, like a shipping container, and it's filled with Solarcan, absolutely filled with them. We do genuinely need more space. I've been looking at purchasing a new building for the last year, and I'm really struggling up here in the Scottish borders. Things aren't coming up often enough, or I'm being outbid. here or there. So yeah, I mean, the worst time in life is when you've got no challenges in front of you. So yeah, it's nice to have the challenges that it's coming with.
Yeah,
but I'm not enjoying the loss of hair or the grey beard.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything we can. What do you want people to do now?
If you've enjoyed our talk, and if you're into photography and you'd like to support Solarcan, you can find the Solarcan Puck. That's this beautiful little camera, the simplest camera in the world, on Kickstarter. Just search Puck or Solarcan. And the cost is £22 to pledge. Shipping rates are incredibly reasonable against expensive shipping rates. And you receive a puck, 9 exposures, instruction booklet, beautiful packaging and accessories to get it installed everywhere, including this stand here, this pretty stand, which we introduced the day before yesterday, the Tremlet. And it will be live for the next, depends on when you post this video, 20 odd days. We end a few days after Hamish's analog spotlight event. So we've timed it so we can introduce it in person to people at the spotlight event. So we'll be bringing some there. So please come along if you still need convincing, or maybe if you're just nosy. Will that do?
That's great.
If I take off my zoom lens, I can suddenly zoom in and we can be dramatic. Did that work? Dramatic.
Amazing.
Cool. The Puck. That looked really creepy.
Quite intense. Cool. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Hamish.